Fantasy Slant. This is either your first week in the playoffs or your last chance to lock up a playoff spot or adjust your seating. So, this is what we've been playing for all year, and we're on the cusp of taking championships now. So it's gonna be a lot of fun as we get your teams set to dominate in the playoffs. So, John, back again. Jim is traveling.
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately, will not be able to make it, but the two of us are going to lead you and continue to lead you down the path to a
To the
championship. So,
promised land. Yes,
to the
to the
promised
promised
land,
land.
to the trophy, to the crown, to the not wearing
Yes.
"I suck at fantasy football" billboard at the game,
Right.
whichever it is. Yeah, we're going to have some work to do, especially with Saturday games. Some of you might have fallen behind due to injuries. We're going to have to make some serious adjustments. So get your questions in early, often, whatever you're bouncing between. Let us help you make those decisions. Alex, bright and early. Always good to see Alex. Addison did his best to keep me out of the toilet bowl. Hopefully Pollard and Howell step up as well. Yeah, speaking of Addison, John, you brought this up yesterday in our chat. Minnesota's ability to draft wide receivers is phenomenal. I don't know why other teams aren't studying their wide receiver draft process and looking for a trend in people, but you go from Stephon Diggs, and even Adam Thielen undrafted, right? But they still saw something to get him, Stephon Diggs. You replace him immediately with Justin Jefferson, which of course he was highly touted, but still crushed. And then Addison steps right in from USC and picks up right where Justin Jefferson left off. It's like whoever you put in that purple uniform.
It's insane, man. Yes.
Mhm.
I mean, remember when they traded Diggs? Everybody forgets Diggs was on Minnesota.
Yeah.
And they traded him, and who did they draft? The best wide receiver in football. So
Right.
it's like, could you imagine if they had all these guys? I mean, it's just insane. It's to me, and I know we've talked about it before, Joe, because especially for us, I mean, you guys hit it with Garrett Wilson, but I mean, who really before that? For us, we had Moss, but we didn't draft him. You know what I
Right.
mean? We had Edelman, and then we traded for Welker, and I mean, those were the slot guys that Belichick kind of invented, but we've never drafted a beast wide receiver. The only one we thought was going to be N'Keal Harry, and I'm so glad we took him ahead of AJ Brown and Debo, and all pros, game changers.
Yeah. Man.
It's just crazy.
He should have been.
Crazy.
I don't know. I would still love to know what happened there because, man, I was so mad, and you know that when they drafted, I mean, I was cussing up a storm. I was so mad, being an ASU guy, that I wanted to see him thrive, and could not root for him in a Patriots uniform to succeed. And I didn't want him to fail, but God bless it. Oh yeah, Minnesota did draft Randy Moss as well. I mean they.
I mean,
they crush.
Yes. Chris Carter. No, Carter was drafted by Philly, I believe, right? Philly drafted Chris Carter back in the day, and then he went to Minnesota, I want to say. Thielen. They drafted Thielen. He was
Thielen
money
was
too.
Undrafted.
That's right. He was signed as a free agent, wasn't he?
He was an undrafted free agent that they got.
That's right.
Even
that's
to add insult to injury on their skill set.
It's just crazy, man.
Yeah. And I was thinking about that this morning before we came on here. It's like, what other team has had that level of success? And you just, I'm thinking like, the only thing I could think somewhat similar is the Texans and their running backs. Because the Texans have done very well in their career with running backs.
Yeah,
they think about it. If you go back to, and a good example, Arian Foster was undrafted. He was undrafted free agent. He was fantastic. Unfortunately, they didn't have much luck with David Johnson after Arizona, but with they grabbed Singletary from Buffalo, who was who didn't look like a very good running back and has played fantastic down there. And they draft Dameon Pierce in the 3rd round this year or last year, and he's been plug and play.
Yeah.
So it's like, they've got a pretty good track record growing there for drafting running backs, but outside of, there's very few teams that can just consistently strike gold. And Minnesota's a shining example of that. Like they just, my God, what a good.
So this is how I know N'Keal Harry. It wasn't because he got drafted by New England or went to Chicago. He plays for Minnesota right now. Have you heard his name?
No.
I looked at the Bears depth chart because I thought that's where he was. He wasn't on it, so I Googled him. He's currently on the Vikings roster right now.
No kidding. I didn't even know he was in
wears
football
number
anymore.
13. I didn't either, Joe. So if he can't make it in Minnesota, he can't make it anywhere. You know what I mean?
No.
I'm sorry, man. That's the last place you're gonna go to see if you can pan out, and then you're gonna end up in, I don't know, maybe the CFL.
Canada.
The guy just don't know how to run routes. Yeah, Canada. I don't even know if he's good enough for Canada.
That's just insane. God, he was good. He was so good at ASU. But drafting and Bill Belichick not synonymous with success.
Not offensive, yes. Not wide receivers. I will say he can draft defense. He can draft O-line. He's not bad there. Tight ends, he did pretty well, I thought, with Gronk and Hernandez. He didn't know Hernandez was Hernandez. I'll give him that. But after that, he swung and missed quite a bit.
He completely missed on trying to replicate that with, what was his name, Ozzy or whatever. And
I mean, there was two of them they drafted in the
like the 2nd and 3rd.
They're all gone. They're all gone, and it's just
drafting's hard. It is. It's definitely it's a hard thing to do. That's why I keep all the Jets groups that I'm in that are just like, just lose. There's no point in winning anymore. And you've known that's been my motto for a decade.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do we like? We need a better draft spot. Why?
Right.
Like, is it working? Is having a better draft spot for the last 12 years
to be good? What player is guaranteed to be good? None. You don't know how they're going to learn it. You don't know how they're going to be. I mean, look at these teams. Look at the Browns. How many quarterbacks did they go through? And in defense of Cleveland all those years, those quarterbacks were ranked high in the draft by everybody. And then these draft analysts kill on the Browns for swinging and missing. When they said that Mayfield was going to be this and so was going to be this, Tim Couch back in the day, early 90s, can't miss. No, they are. I mean, all these I mean, Mel Kiper, how often is he wrong? Quite a bit. And we talk about him as being the kind of on the Rushmore of drafts. And I mean, he's the one who said Zach Wilson was going to be as good as Trevor Lawrence. And that was one of the best quarterback classes since 83. That's probably one of the worst draft classes since 83. You know, I mean, I think Fields is going to come out as the best player. I truly do. And I was on Fields all the time. I think he's going to be better than Lawrence. I'm just not seeing Lawrence with that team. I mean, there's a lot of weapons around that offense, and I think they're going to lose again today to Baltimore, to be quite honest. But they may have Alex, but I mean, they went to other teams and they weren't any good either. You know what I mean? It's not like most of them retired.
John, I know you hate Baker. But now that you bring this up, I saw somebody put up a comparison through him compared to Tom Brady through his first 72 games.
I know, I seen that.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
How strikingly similar, if not better, Baker's stats are than Brady through the first 4 seasons or 5 seasons that they've played. Like that is I would never have guessed. Never.
See, I would have, because if you look at Brady's first almost 5 years, he managed that team. I mean, he wasn't a slinger, man. He wasn't. That was a run first. That was a defense. Plus, the NFL was a lot different then.
Right. That is.
I mean, every quarterback now, the mediocre numbers of 20 touchdowns, 20 to 25 is mediocre now. When back in the day you hit 30 and 40, you were, I mean, now what I would say elite is between 40 and 50, right? It should be 5,000 passing yards. You can't hit quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I would say elite is probably 30 plus, or I guess depending on how the bar is, I think Dak's going to hit maybe 35 this year, because I think he has 20, 26, 27 right now. It's only 4 games left. So,
right. Yeah. I think 30 to 40 is up there.
Yeah.
But I mean, that is good perspective. And the run, back then, early 2000s, the run game was still extremely prominent. Fullback still existed.
Tom Rathman. No, not Tom Rathman. Who was the guy from Tampa? Mike Allstott.
Oh yeah.
I mean, remember when he used to carry the ball? That guy would punish people, man. That guy would punish people.
He would. He would. You didn't want to get in his way. You just let him in.
No. And think of the quarterbacks that had great numbers. They didn't win. Yeah. When did Peyton Manning win one? When he got lucky and played Chicago that year. And we should have beat them. They came back against us. Yeah. Teams with running backs won. Running backs and good defense. And now it's starting to sway. I mean, look at their contracts for running backs.
Yeah, they're nothing.
You know what I mean?
They're nothing. And
Alex,
we were kind of
couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
I brought that up with you that you look at the last 3 quarterbacks, Mahomes, Stafford, and Burrow. In the last 3 years, they've won Super Bowls and have also held the top spot for interceptions in a season. So that's exactly like if you would go back 15 years ago, a quarterback who leads the league in interceptions is not in the Super Bowl.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But now,
or fumbles the game, or whatever. Yeah.
But now the game's changed so much and protects the quarterback so much and gone so offensive that you can't win with a game managing quarterback.
No. Because you have to have an elite quarterback.
Right. And that's why, I think that's what's killing the Jets too, with the Wilson trying to be a game manager and play boring football and not make mistakes. Like you can't play boring football in 2023's NFL. It's just you've got to throw it out. You've got to make mistakes. But if you can't score touchdowns, it doesn't matter if you don't throw an interception.
Right. Look at Mullins yesterday. Look at Mullins in that touchdown he threw to Addison, that second one. He should not have thrown that ball. I mean, that ball was in the middle of everybody, and Addison just happened to come down with it. I mean, you put like a really good quarterback there. They threw it out of the end zone, 4 seconds before that pass was thrown. You look at the T. Higgins touchdown where the defender didn't tackle him. I mean, he reached his arm out and won, you know what I mean? And kind of saved Cincy yesterday. So it's just different type of football. I mean, again, let's go back to Minnesota. 2nd and 1, 3rd and 1, and 4th and 1. They were in that quarterback sneak. Like I texted, no, 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1. They run Nick Mullins twice, thinking he's Jalen Hurts. Right. When you got a running back who's averaging 6 yards a carry. Yeah. They overthought it, man. They overthought it.
And it's funny that a lot of teams want to run that brotherly shove, but they don't line up correctly for it. They're still running a traditional quarterback sneak with one little running back behind them. You see that brotherly shove. They've got big boys behind him, tight ends lined up behind him that could actually push the line forward, not a third string running back who weighs, that's 5'9" and a $180 that's going to try to push a pile. Like, no, you get your big dogs
and let's
in there.
Face it, Philly has been practicing that for years. For years, they've been they have mastered it. And Jalen Hurts knows right where to go. He knows where each offensive lineman. That's why, I remember back when Brady used to dump it to Edelman and Welker. And you're like, it's so easy to defend, and you can't defend it because you can't. They just executed it so well. Philly executes that play so well with Jalen Hurts that every team thinks, oh wow, so all we're gonna do is pull the guards in a little bit. And I agree, Alex. Why ban it? I don't understand why you ban it. Stop it. Just stop it. And why they thought Mullins could have done that was unfair to them. They put it all on him. The snap was bad. He went the wrong way. And I kind of feel bad for the guy because that play should not have been called. That play should not have been called.
It should have been handoff. Twice, especially when you're just eating up yards.
Yes. I mean, they were moving that line. Throw a couple wide receivers out. Oh, shit, bring everybody in. If you want to do a goal line like run like that, bring everybody in. Bring in a friggin' fullback. They must have one on that team. Let them just pop somebody and let Chandler, because he ran strong yesterday, man.
He did.
He was running extremely strong yesterday.
Yep. But even that, I mean, it's 3rd and short. If you know there's a good chance you're going for it on 4th, spread the offense out.
Right.
At least make it look like you're going to throw.
Right.
If there's a man coverage you want to try to take advantage of, go for it because you're going for it on 4th and short anyway. If not, you spread the defense out and you just pick up 6 inches. Like they didn't even need much on those. It was so short.
No.
Just bad.
And if you're going to do that, throw it twice. Throw it to Hawkinson twice. Throw it to Ad. I mean, shit, you get Jefferson back. You know what I mean? Throw a jump ball. It's probably going to be PI, because either he's going to catch it or you have to pull him down to catch it. I just thought that was a terrible play.
That goes back to, I mean, you've got Addison, you've got Hawkinson, you've got really good playmakers. Somebody will be open. Somebody will get open. That's just crazy. But to Alex's thing, let's move on from the Vikings in this topic. But with all of these quarterbacks coming up here to pick up 5th-year options, there's a lot, like, obviously, everybody's saying Zach Wilson's gone. I still think that's a terrible idea. If he finishes the year strong, I think it's a terrible idea to give him to somebody else to find success. I think if he finishes strong, you give him the 5th-year option because backup quarterbacks are going to be expensive next year. There's been 6
It
teams.
depends who your backup is, though. I mean, how are you going to pay quarterbacks $70 million next year? Aaron Rodgers is going to get 50. Zach
they're going to get
25 to 26.
I think it's 20. Was it 23 million?
Yeah, something like that for 5th year.
But if he shows up to finish the season and he could sit behind Rodgers again next year and have a 5th-year audition to potentially be your long-term solution, it's worth it. If not, what are you going to do? You're going to pick up a Mullins or one of these backup quarterbacks to back up Rodgers with no plan for the future?
Yeah, but is he the future, Joe? Is he the future?
That's what you need to find out. That's what the rest of the season. I think
you already know it, Joe. Come on. I know you're hoping, but I think you already know it. Zach is not the future because the second he makes a mistake, they're going to want his head. Okay, Jets fans are probably the least home-friendly fans I've ever seen because you guys haven't won in forever. So you guys want to win. Yep. So let's throw out this scenario. So Zach plays next year. They have to pay him $23 million. Aaron Rodgers goes out, almost makes a Super Bowl.
Don't play this as a fan, though. Play this as the GM.
I am. So this is how I'm thinking. So Rodgers is the cap hits $50 million, whatever it is. So now you're paying Rodgers 23. So let's say you don't need Zach Wilson at all next year, right? So you guys win a Super Bowl. Rodgers says, I'm coming back. Now what are you paying Zach Wilson? What, a 5-year, $200 million contract? You can't do that. So if I were the Jets, I would look at this year as, okay, Rodgers didn't play. He will be a year older, but I expect 2 more years out of Rodgers, right?
Well, the plan originally was 2 years.
Right, but now that he sat out a year, pretty much, but he's not playing, though. You know what I mean? I do too, Alex, and that's what I was going to get to. So now you're going to have Wilson after 2 years of Rodgers, say, winning 2 Super Bowls. Let's say the Jets win 2 Super Bowls. Now it's like, hey, we got Wilson. He's been sitting behind. He hasn't played a down in 2 years. But you know what? He's going to lead our team. Is that the person you want to follow Rodgers? You can't. It's like Mac Jones is the fall guy for Brady. Everybody expected Mac to be Brady. You can't. Wilson has way too much bad blood there, man. I just do.
But
and this
isn't
personal.
You've gone to the extreme best case scenario there.
Yeah, but let's face it, the Jets will win games with Rodgers. Period.
They will, but I don't.
So let's not even say Super Bowl. Let's not even say Super Bowl. Let's say deep run into the playoffs. They're bringing Rodgers back another year. And Alex, yes, you do want to think like a Pats fan. Of course you do, because you're about to have the Pats coach out there in Charger land.
Jesus.
But
there's no team that's dumb enough to hire another Patriots coach.
Belichick,
that works out.
That team needs discipline.
Oh, team needs discipline. Belichick's going to go?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that'll be. Oh.
But anyways,
Alex,
that will be for the offseason. I know, Jim. I'm trying to convince Joe to think like I don't think he does either, Alex. I think he's staying on the East Coast with Washington. But I just wanted to get some controversy going. But regardless of if the Jets don't win a Super Bowl or not, they're going to win games, especially if they can keep that defense together. So I'm telling you, bringing back Wilson, you're going to pay Wilson $40 million to sit there knowing that he can't lead a team for 2 years. As a GM, that's a waste of money.
I don't know. I think it's more. I mean, the plan was Rodgers was going to be here for 2 seasons. This wasn't a one and done. It was a 2-year commitment and he wants to develop Zach. They're good friends. I don't know if he's going to do that to stay in the league another year. For what? If he comes in and God willing wins a Super Bowl, fantastic. He's riding out on his high horse. You're leaving at the top, I think. And then you give it to Wilson after that, after another year. Again, this all depends on how Wilson finishes these last 4 games. If he continues,
I think you've already seen it. There's no pressure on him now, Joe. There's zero pressure on him.
Did you know, I read this morning, the Jets have not had back-to-back 300-yard passing games with 2 touchdowns or more since Chad Pennington did it in 2006.
Joe, I love that stat because I love to see Jets fans in pain.
Is that one of the most ridiculous things that you've ever heard? Like, how is that even physically possible? But let's get to this. This question.
I think Flacco has 2 games back to back, doesn't he? Hey, the Jets had him. Perfect.
It's just
good morning, Alec.
So yeah, Alec, what's up, buddy? Full PPR. Dobbs or Godwin?
So I'm not a Tampa Bay fan today at all. It's in Green Bay. It's cold. I believe it's rainy as well. And wasn't Godwin? He didn't practice a lot this week, did he?
He was on the injured list, but he should be playing. Let's see.
Let me see here. I want to see if
let me grab an update. He should be full go.
So Watson's out though, right? I believe Watson is out.
Chris Godwin is active.
Yeah. I'm more curious about Christian Watson.
I don't even see him on the
Christian
list.
Watson is out. So Dobbs. So you get Jaden Reed and Dobbs. I would probably start Dobbs, to be quite honest.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, Tampa's just hard to predict.
Mike Evans. I don't trust Mayfield. And it's going to, if he's going to throw it, it's going to be Mike Evans,
Yeah, and he killed me last week. One catch for 8 yards. Like, thanks a lot, Mike Evans, when we need you. Really shit the bed on us. So, I don't know. Weather's 34 degrees. It is the Packers. That's going to be a change. I'd probably go Dobbs, especially without Watson. He looks for Dobbs a lot more in that instance. But Godwin, the only thing I would say with Godwin is Godwin has the ability to put up a big game, probably bigger than Dobbs does. So if you've fallen behind from Thursday and Saturday, Godwin might be your bigger swing for the fences type of guy. But I think Dobbs is the better. I agree, Dobbs is the better overall play. But if you're projected to lose by a significant margin, Godwin could score 2 touchdowns in this game.
could.
Right?
I think you're going to see more of their running back. Help me out here.
Rashid White.
Yes. I think you're going to see a lot of White. I think you're going to see a big day from Micah Evans as well. So that's my guess. If Watson was playing, I'd say probably Godwin, but with Watson out, it takes away that deep threat. So, and Love is going to have to probably throw it a little bit, depending on the weather, and when he does,
there
it's going to
be scoring.
Yeah,
in this game.
I just don't trust Tampa. I don't trust Tampa.
Yeah, I like Dobbs too. There's just too much in Tampa to go around. Godwin's just too hard to predict, but go with Dobbs.
So I have a fantasy question.
Oh,
I'm in a conundrum. So I have Tua.
That's a giant metal drum, right?
Yes. I have CJ Stroud, which I've been starting, which is now on my bench. This is my first week of the playoffs. Not starting him. I have Tua. I took him out. I did, especially with Tyreek Hill. And I picked up Joe Flacco. So my first week in the playoffs, I'm riding with Mr. Flacco. But let me tell you why. Let me tell you. I mean, that's all I got. That's all I can do. Luckily,
nobody else out there.
Gardner Minshew, I probably could have did well with him yesterday. But anyways, I picked up Flacco. Luckily, I also picked up Vegas's defense Thursday morning, and I got 27 points. So right now it's going to be close. Yeah, so it's going to be a little tough. But what's nice is the person I'm playing against has Dak and I have CeeDee Lamb. He has Waddle. So I'm feeling okay there. But do I? So I don't know if you've seen the reports of Jalen Hurts. He is extremely sick, traveling separately to Seattle, and I get A.J. Brown. So that's a Monday night game.
Oh.
So I'm going to make the command decision that I do not want Marcus Mariota throwing to Mr. Brown, especially in Seattle. Yeah. Do I go with Zay Flowers or Rashid Rice?
Rice.
I'm extremely concerned about the Patriots' defense today. I think I took the Patriots in money. Stack 2.
Oh, okay. Finish up your thought.
Do I play Flowers or do I play Rice?
Yeah, because I would go Rice.
I'm thinking of it, and here's why. The Chiefs' running game is going to be terrible with Pacheco out. They're going to double team Kelsey, so that's going to give Rice targets. Yes. That's what I'm thinking. Okay. That's how the Patriots play. Yes.
And Kelsey is by far their best player.
Man. I love Flowers.
I mean, you talk about dart throws.
Right.
Trying to guess who's going to succeed in the Ravens offense. That's not Mark Andrews. Forget about it.
No, I completely agree. Agree.
It's like winning the lottery. So, all right, let's circle back here to Alec. I like how his options just improved greatly. So we got to start 2 in this one. Dobbs, Godwin, Kenneth Walker. I like Smith and Jigba. He's been playing much better as the season goes on, getting a lot more looks. But they should have the full complement again. That's Monday night game.
I like Dobbs and Kenneth Walker, especially if Geno's going to be out. If Geno's not playing, I don't want their receivers.
Yeah, you would stay away from it. I think that's probably the best. I was looking at Kenneth Walker too, though. Where do I have him? So Philly has the best run defense in football. That's the bad thing. And they're the 32nd ranked. For running backs, they're going against not a good spot to be at. But the other bad thing about Seattle is they use Charbonnet a lot, too much.
They do, yeah.
So that's a really hard situation because they're without Geno, that offense did not look good at all. Godwin is very hard to predict. and the running game is really, really difficult. But if it's full PPR, Kenneth Walker might get a lot of catches, especially if Philly's bringing pressure against an inexperienced well, not an inexperienced, but not a good quarterback. He might be looking for dump offs to the running backs to pick up some yards there. I think I would agree. I would go Dobbs, Kenneth Walker, just on the upside of the running and receiving. And if Jalen Hurts doesn't play, that changes the entire team.
Absolutely.
Well, first off, I think it makes it somewhat unwatchable with Luck Lock against Mariota on Monday Night Football. God,
so terrible.
Yeah, but I think if that defense is bringing pressure, you could get 5-6 catches out of Walker and pick up some yards there. So it could be good. But yeah, the other two are Godwin and Smith and Jigba. Just it's too much to try to predict. So
yeah, agreed.
I think Dobbs and Walker there, Alec, would be the best fits. So let's shift over to the green and white here and talk about Tyreek Hill being inactive.
It's huge.
I think the Jets win this game. I'm gonna say it. I think the Jets defense is now ranked number 1 in ESPN power rankings. And once Tyreek Hill went down, that offense looked lost. And not taking anything away from Jalen Waddle, he's still very good, but the Jets defense is fantastic. If they don't have to worry about Tyreek Hill and only have to really focus on Waddle as the main threat, this entire game changes. And they do have Etienne back, and they've got Mostert. The Jets defense has been much better against the run over the last 4 weeks. Not fantastic, but they've now held to under 100 yards in the last couple games. So this is before where they were giving up like 135, 140 yards a game. So that's improved, but I mean, can the Jets realistically win this game without Tyreek Hill? I mean, the Titans made the Dolphins look bad.
So, I told you,
Alec, keep listening because we're about to talk about this.
So Alec, before I get into what Joe is just asking if the Jets can win, I am playing Flacco over Tua today, and that was even before Tyreek Hill was out. I had Flacco in my start lineup last night because I cannot trust. So it's almost like Tua in a way. Not Tua. It's almost like Mahomes today. You know, what are you expecting against that Patriots D? Ugh. I mean, again, Alec, I'm starting Flacco. So Will Levis probably wouldn't be too bad against Houston today, except I think Derrick Henry's going to have a couple more touchdowns, and DeVito just seems to be able to throw a touchdown or two every week.
Yeah, I don't like it against the Saints.
Not against the Saints. I would be more apt to start Will Levis over DeVito. But I guess it's how you feel. Stroud. Yeah, and a game without Stroud, I think Houston is going to run more. I mean, Tennessee's going to run more and control the game. I think you're going to see a big game by King Henry again with what's their backup running back there?
Spears.
Spears, yeah, with probably a good mix of him.
He looks really good.
I contemplated picking up Will Levis. I took Flacco instead. I just don't feel – I didn't feel good about Tua even before. I just don't. And I'm sure he's going to go off now that I said him. They'll throw for 5 touchdowns. They'll beat the Jets by 40, and I'm going to look like an idiot.
Jets, yeah, and it might happen, but the Jets have not given up a 300-yard passer since Tom Brady did it in 2021 with Tampa Bay.
Right.
That was the last 300-yard passing day that the Jets have given up.
Yeah.
So it's what, 26 or 31 straight games that they're at right now without giving up a 300-yard passer, and they don't have Tyreek Hill. I don't love it. I don't love Tua's chance. I know it's a home game, but and the Jets defense is getting better. I feel like week in and week out. So I definitely don't love that. I think I think that's a good play, honestly. I think Will Levis is probably a pretty solid overall play. I'm trying to see who else might be out there. So Russell Wilson's done. Mayfield potentially. Yeah, Joe Flacco's out
And
there. Pick up
yeah,
Zach
I
Wilson.
mean,
Pick up Zach Wilson. He's playing without
so
fear.
I contemplated that, but I figured this was going to be yes, Hill is confirmed. Yeah.
Yes, Hill is out.
And here's the thing, Alec. When I started looking at Tua's numbers, 5 touchdowns the last 6 games, and it's not going to get any easier today. I don't care if they are playing in Miami. That's irrelevant. That defense is playing extremely well. Again, I think the Patriots and Jets have probably the top 2 defenses with probably the 2 worst offenses in the NFL, and it's unfortunate. It really is.
Yeah, they're fantastic. But I mean, would you consider picking up Zach Wilson today?
So I had the option, Joe. The only reason I didn't, I would go Josh Allen. I think Allen's going to have a huge game on the ground as well.
Yeah, against Dallas. Oh,
yeah,
man, that's Chandler. You got yourself an outstanding problem. Josh Allen and Brock Purdy against.
Well,
I like Purdy against Arizona a lot. The only reason I have Purdy in like 3 of my leagues. I had to bench him in one. The one league that I have Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, and Kittle. I actually benched him for Justin Fields because the other guys got Debo, and I'm playing against Debo in 2 of my 4 leagues, so I know Debo Samuel is going to go off. So I can't have him negate all my Brock Purdy points by getting all the touchdowns. So I threw Fields in there because I think in a lot of the reports I was reading is Cleveland plays a lot of cover 1, which opens up running lanes. And Justin Fields likes to run, as we know. So I am throwing a dart that Justin Fields is going to go back to last year's Justin Fields, where he breaks off a couple of big rushing yards on the ground and gets me like a 35-point game in this one. But Purdy's still in a great position against Arizona. But
yes.
I think that game could get out of control very easily. And throttle back, but that Josh Allen Cowboys game is not going to get out of control. I mean, the score might get out of control, but it's going to be back and forth, right?
Right.
Josh Allen's in a great spot to just have a shootout against the Cowboys on this one. Weather looks decent, just cloudy, 36 degrees. So nothing crazy there. I don't know if wind's going to be a factor this time of year. Buffalo tends to get windy, but I think that's Josh Allen all day in that one. But you got to. Yeah. I don't think you're in a bad spot either way you go.
No,
I mean,
no. Yeah, I would personally go Josh Allen. And Alec, I'm with you. I'm in the first round of my playoffs too, and I get Tua sitting on the bench. I've been going all year, and actually been swapping him and CJ out depending on matchup. And again, like I said, even before I heard Hill was out, I pulled Tua. I cannot. Again, he may go nuts, and you know what I mean, if you don't feel right about Will Levis, which I wouldn't either, trust me. I'm just hoping Flacco continues his last 2 games, to be quite honest, and he may or may not. I don't know, but I feel safe. The sad part is I feel safer with Flacco today than I do with Tua against the Jets, and especially you take Hill out, like Alex just said. I mean, that O-line is beat up in Miami. I think they're going to press the shit out of him today.
Yeah, and they lost their center too.
They did. Today. That's what I mean. So that their defense is going to play well. I would bet the under in that game for sure, but it's kind of crazy.
I wonder what it's at. Let's take a look. 35 and a half point over under in this game. That's crazy for a Dolphins team that's number 1 on offense. So that tells you exactly what Vegas thinks the Jets defense can do.
Yep. I mean, they've been doing it all year, right? I mean, they've been doing it all year. They really have.
Yep. And I'm actually, one of them, I'm pretty much I'm not officially eliminated. I will be today, I'm sure. But there is a slight chance that I can make the playoffs in one. And I started Zach last week as just the hell with it. And I'm starting him again this week. So I figure if I'm going to make it, I'm going to ride that one. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, if he's chucking it and he doesn't care, whatever. It's fantasy points, right? So here we go. Aaron Jones or Amari Cooper, PPR. Bryce. I don't know if you've been on before, but if you haven't, hit that subscribe button. I like Aaron Jones a lot this week. There's no AJ Dillon. Aaron Jones is healthy. It's a great spot. It's a great spot to run the ball there against the Buccaneers. So I know with your Joe Flacco play, you're going to lean Amari Cooper against the Bears. That's still a nice play as well, but
it's not so much that. It's just, I mean, what has Aaron Jones done this year, even when he's been in?
You think they're going to throw more against, or are they going to try to establish a run game?
I mean, you would hope that they're going to establish the run, but I don't know. Jones is scary, man. I mean, what's his first game back in a month, right? So just about a month, and even before then, he's only averaging he's averaging under 4 yards a carry.
Yeah. He's missed a lot of games this year.
He has, and that's what concerns me too.
3 games. You're starting to talk me out of this, but
I mean, last week Cooper had 14 targets. Now he only caught 7 of them, but he had 14 targets. Yeah. That's a tough one, man, because Flacco also likes Njoku as well. So
and that came back to bite us.
And he's starting to throw to Ford a lot too. I mean, I guess consistency, Aaron Jones is probably going to get plenty of touches, so his upside is there. I just don't like how he's playing this year. I would probably go Amari Cooper, to be quite honest, because it's full PPR.
I mean, on 14 targets, that is hard if he catches more. This Bears defense is not anything crazy.
No, and they're playing in Cleveland. Yeah.
I mean, but Packers are playing at home too. But yeah, Aaron Jones has not looked great. No. And he is coming
very minimal catches.
Hamstring. All right, you've swayed me. I'm going to go Cooper in this one too. In a PPR, that makes sense. Weather, I mean, the weather doesn't look bad in either one of the games right
Everything
now.
I think the weather's going to make a difference, it doesn't. You know what I mean? It's like I thought the weather was going to be brutal in that Baltimore game last week, and the Rams in Baltimore put up 60+ points. So should it make a difference? Yes. I just don't trust Aaron Jones. I just don't.
I think if you're talking like 40, 50 mile an hour winds, especially for the kicking game. But I mean, for the most part, these guys have cannons. They can throw in 30 mile an hour wind, and 20 yards is not going to really be that big of a deal. So, and rain, I mean, Zach Wilson threw 300 yards in pouring rain last week. So
that's why
if he could do it.
Not even looking at that anymore. I make myself look dumb every time.
Just for kickers. Avoid it. Avoid the wind for kickers, but otherwise, quarterbacks, it doesn't really affect them unless it's ridiculously windy. Like that Patriots game last year was it last year or the year before where they threw the ball like 3 times because it was like 60 mile an hour wind
twice, and they ran it every time and beat Buffalo. That was the dumbest game I've ever seen in my life.
It was terrible. So I guess Bryce, go with Cooper in that one for the PPR, especially if he's being targeted heavily again. Just the opportunity there is going to be pretty huge, and it's against a bad Bears defense. So so opportunity to put a couple in the end zone as well. So that should help you out. But yeah, so what do you think? I don't think we got to finish the conversation, but for the Jets Dolphins game, what do you think the outcome's going to look like with Tua in the 35 points?
So I put a bet together this morning before they announced Hill being out, because it was +8, I want to say, or I got +9 with the Jets, and I took it.
Wow.
And parlayed that in with like New England's +9. I got some good odds. I mean, it was one of those bets where like, I put San Francisco at -12.5. So I took a shot on these. And now, honestly, with Hill, I think the Jets will cover. Will they win? I mean, honestly, it depends. Can we see last week's Zach Wilson or the previous 10 weeks Zach Wilson? I don't know.
Yeah.
Miami's defense is good. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think whoever wins, and I hate to sound cliche, I probably sound like Pat Summerall right now or John Madden. It depends who wins the turnover battle, but I truly do, because I think whichever defense scores a touchdown, which both are capable of, that's the team that's going to win, to be quite honest. I don't know. I don't trust Zach Wilson, and I don't trust Tua. I don't trust either quarterbacks today, because I think they both have extremely hard matchups. The Jets' O-line is beat up. Miami's O-line is beat up. Their wide receivers are beat up. I mean, the Jets, are we going to see – which Breece Hall are we going to see this week? Again, the one from last week or the one from the previous 10? He just can they win? Of course they can. Of course they can. I think they'll cover. I think the Jets are going to cover for sure. Would I put money on them on a money line? No, I wouldn't, because the Tua's had more consistent games than Zach Wilson. So we'll kind of throw it back at the quarterback there.
Yeah. Well, it just makes me happy, and all I can hear you saying right now is
and also, Joe, I want the Jets to win to screw up their draft pick. Okay, so we can all say, so I can give you shit next year for taking. So as they fall lower and lower, that Joe Alt draft pick from Notre Dame for their O-line, they start going to Mo Palt from like University of Lynn, Mass, or something like that.
I don't think they're going to pull. I don't think they're going to pull a Belichick and reach 2 rounds early. But I don't know. We'll see what happens with this week. But I'm officially done rooting for them to lose games. So it's just not working for me. So
right.
And then again, you don't know. Even last year, they were going to take Broderick Jones, and then the Patriots traded out, and they lost the pick. So even when you think the guy you want's going to be there, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. So
I just want the Pats to lose out to draft a quarterback. That's all. I just want a quarterback. I don't care which one. I like the kid from LSU, to be quite honest. The Heisman Trophy winner. Yep, I'll take Daniels all day long.
You know where he played before that?
What's that?
Do you know where he played before he transferred to LSU?
I know he was a transfer. What is it, like Alabama or something?
If I'm asking, what do you think?
Yeah, it's Bama. All right.
No.
Is it Bama or OSU?
No. Keep going west. What's my school?
Arizona State?
He was Arizona State's quarterback. And then once that Herm Edwards thing went down, he transferred to LSU, and it was fantastic. So be careful. I know your success with ASU players.
He can't be any worse than N'Keal Harry, Joe. He can't be any worse. Any worse.
You say that. He was good at ASU. With them trading.
We'll see. I guess we'll see.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that one plays out, where he's going to end up going, because he wasn't as good as he was at LSU at ASU. He made a lot of really stupid mistakes. So I don't know. That's a huge improvement from a couple years at ASU under a college coaching staff or an NFL coaching staff to go into LSU and just completely balling out. He always had running game in him. That's kind of been his thing. But man, he played lights out this year. But we'll see how it all ends up. And if Alex is still here, I wanted to get your take on this one before we close out the Raiders and that Chargers game. I mean, 63 points by the Raiders. And I mean, and what's worse than that is you've lost. You lose a division game and it cleans house for you. I mean, that the Raiders made you clean house. The Raiders, let me say that, the Las Vegas Raiders made a team clean house. That doesn't even make sense.
So, sorry, I'm being. It's my doggies are coming over right now. Sorry.
Let's get this question in real quick before.
I would go Brees Hall, because I think Chan is dealing with an injured toe, and you're already going up against a tough defense. So I don't see him being the majority carrier today. I think you're going to see a lot of Mostert. I think just the upside with Brees Hall, to be quite honest. I mean, he can truly take a 2-yard screen for 89 yards and make it look and pad Mr. Wilson's numbers pretty well. So I think he just got more upside with Brees Hall, especially today.
I think Mozart will take most of the carries. He'll be the lead. They'll ease Etienne back in, and they don't want to take a chance of injuring him.
Of course not.
Yeah, Hall's the guy for sure in that one. All right, so let's switch back here. We'll do his laugh. Give Herbert the MVP for hiding some of the issues. So that's the other thing I wanted to talk about in that one too. Is Herbert hasn't. I mean, what has he done? Like he throws the ball a lot. He had a sensational rookie year, but it's kind of been on a downward trend. Like he's not winning games. He's not carrying the team. And they've got good players. They should be winning. Is Justin Herbert going to be one of those Phillip Rivers quarterbacks that puts up great fantasy numbers?
I don't think so, man. I don't think so. I mean, you look at some of the games they lost. I mean, he scored 38 against Detroit and lost. Scored 24 against Tennessee and lost. Scored 34 against the Dolphins and lost. You take those 3 games, and they're 8-6 instead of 5-9. You know what I mean? It's just, I mean, they lost to the Packers 23-20. I just think that team is so undisciplined. It's just insane. It's just insane. The drops, the wide receivers. Yeah. I mean, Palmer's been hurt. Keenan Allen's been hurt. You've had to rely on a rookie that hasn't played that well. Eckler is not Eckler anymore. They don't have a running game, to be quite honest. So I think he's fine. I think so too. I don't get that running game. Eckler looks terrible in the running game. But I mean, I don't know. I think Herbert's fine. They need somebody to instill some discipline. I think Belichick would honestly thrive there. I just don't see him going to the West Coast. I don't. I mean, that defense, think about it, man. You got Bosa. I mean, what's the other linebacker they got over
Khalil Mack.
Khalil Mack. I mean,
he's getting old, but
Asante Samuel Jr. is on that team too, right? At cornerback.
Yeah.
I mean that team is good, man. It's not a bad team. They got Derwin James as their safety. They got Slater on there for left tackle. They've drafted well. They just can't seem to stay healthy, and it's that Charger curse, man. They can't do shit. Doesn't matter who you put there as a coach either. They're just terrible.
So I told Alex, man, now that they've cleaned house, they need to just do him a favor, move to Wichita, rename themselves the Tornadoes, and just start from scratch.
The Tornadoes. Oh, man, that'd be great if they did that, wouldn't it?
They need it, man. It's terrible. I mean, I feel bad for Alex. I feel bad for Chargers fans because they have that much talent and still
be terrible.
So bad. It's not even, it's not like they're finishing the year just outside the playoffs. I mean, they're finishing in the top 10 of the draft. And it's just
that was honestly one of the grossest games I've ever watched, but it was actually fun to watch. It truly was.
Man, and if it wasn't for garbage time, that game should have been 63-7. I mean,
yes.
If it wasn't for just like, let's try to put up double-digit numbers, so it's not that bad. But I mean, just disgusting. I mean, 14 points in the fourth quarter, but the game was done. I mean, just done. There's no reason the Raiders should have done that. There's just no reason. Good for your defense.
It was terrible. Just terrible.
Man, I mean, just insane. It's going to be interesting to see what the Chargers do this offseason. That's going to be an interesting one to watch. What they do, they're going to have a high draft pick. They're going to have a new head coach, new GM. Everything's going to be another change for Justin Herbert. How many quarterbacks, Alex, have they had since Justin Herbert came into the league? It's got to be, what is this going to be? Coach number 3, coach number 3, offensive coordinator. They'll probably change, so probably be a third offensive coordinator as well, if I'm not mistaken. But
it's just so bad.
And then let's go to our division game where we were talking about Josh Allen earlier as we wrap this thing up. Did the Cowboys win in Buffalo, or did the Bills go to 8-6?
I think Dallas is going to win. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. But, I mean, would it surprise me if Buffalo won? No, because they have to. But, man, that's going to be if Buffalo loses, what happens?
7-7.
You know what I mean? What honestly happens? They're not going to be in the playoffs.
No, and they squeaked one out against the Chiefs last week, or the Karens, I should say, the Karens, because Patrick Mahomes was ridiculous at the end of that game. Like, oh, sorry, Patrick, the first time that the play calling or the refs haven't gone your way, you're going to throw a shit fit about it.
Right. I mean,
I didn't see him complaining when he was getting all the calls walking down the field in that Jets game to win the game. He was
so
fine
it's
with
so
that.
funny. And last year, how did they end up in the Super Bowl? Wasn't there a controversial penalty in that game against Cincy that cost Cincy that game? Sure was. Yeah. So I'm sorry, man. You too, Alex. Have a good Christmas. We don't hear from you, man. Yeah, it's just kind of crazy. Really is.
It is. Well, that's it. That's 10. It's 10 o'clock. It's game time, fellas.
Yeah, I need to go watch the Patriots.
And I'm sure you'll have the Jets on the other screen.
Of course.
So it's going to be a fun one to watch for sure. So best of luck, guys. If this is the first round, I hope we helped. If not, I hope we lock up a spot for you this week. But good luck to yourselves. Good luck to your teams. And until next week, we're going to keep grinding. So stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you all real soon.